This is something that I've done a lot in my life, and in a way, I guess I continue to do it. I do see improvement, and I'm hoping that this can be helpful to anybody that has a similar trait or does exactly what I'm doing. And not that you need to change it or that it's bad for you in any way. I just feel that it definitely is it's not coming from a good place. Now, if it was, then maybe I'd notice that, but I definitely notice it's not coming from a good place. And therefore, it needs to be recognized. Not necessarily changed, but just realized. And I think the realization that, this is, or it's possibly not really coming from a healthy version of who I am, then that ultimately will change how I feel about myself, because I start to realize, why is this occurring to begin with? And I think it's all occurring out of just insecurity, not really being certain with myself or my ideas or just even who I am, which I think is the bottom line of the entire reason. Not only this, but most things of I don't know, I guess just being afraid to be yourself exists. Anyway, this comes down to just one example. When somebody is just asking me like how I'm doing or what I'm doing with my life or what do I think about this or whatever it is, my opinion about that. It could be about music, it could be about a movie, it could be about, just my opinion about what's happening in the news or just if I'm doing something, or if they're saying, hey, how'd you do that, or, whatever, just to give an opinion. And it sounds so simple, sounds so basic. We give opinions all day long, But I find it difficult sometimes. And this occurs, and I start to realize I try to give evidence for my opinion. I try to support the reason why I have my opinion. And I don't think that's good to do unless someone's saying, well, why do you think that way? Or can you prove, why you believe this, or, why you have your opinion about that? I don't, first off, I don't think when anyone asks anybody, hey, what do you think about this, or what's your opinion about that, I don't think they're trying to prove whether you're right or wrong. Now, that in some cases that is the case. They have an underlying intention to do that, or it's not realizing it's their own insecurity to, find maybe how they're wrong, or how maybe they're struggling with just to open their heart to try to understand beyond themselves, or try to care more about just being able to think, and then that translates to how they interact with others. Who knows? Or maybe they don't understand, or they're confused, or it could be a million reasons why anyone would want to find truth with anyone's opinion or want evidence. Could be anything. Maybe they're just interested, or it could be coming from really not a good place or a great place. Nobody really knows where anyone is coming from, almost at any given point. But this is why it's so important to realize where we're coming from. If you have to give a reason why you feel the way you feel, without anyone asking, or trying to figure out the reasons, and not to say they should even be trying to figure that out. I mean, it really depends on the context, and regardless, I think wherever we're coming from with trying to support ourselves with, an explanation of some sort. More times than not, closer to like 90% of the time, maybe 99. It's such a high. I leave that 1%, 2% area open because, maybe you should explain without someone asking you why or how come about anything. Maybe because it's confusing, or maybe it doesn't make any sense, or maybe it's a really strange situation, or maybe you might feel compelled to. I get it. But to do this on like almost an everyday basis or in every situation moment, it's like, no, there's something going on. You shouldn't have to explain why about everything that you do, or prove, why you like anything, or why you're doing anything. I think that's coming from a very unhealthy place of not really liking yourself, or not really caring about yourself, not really believing that what you're doing, or who you are, or what you just even think or feel has any value or meaning, or your opinion about anything really matters. Because we have to defend ourselves when it's not even questioned, it's not challenged, it's not even in a moment that seems like appropriate. Like, why do you have to further explain anything about yourself or what you think or whatever? It almost doesn't make sense if we step back and ask ourselves, so why, if someone asks, what am I doing this weekend, right? And I say, this is what I'm doing. Oh, the reason why I'm doing this. It's like, wait, guys, do you see what I'm saying here? You don't have to do that. And the more we see, this is what we're doing, the more you could realize you're scared to just explain, just to be you. And that comes through an explanation. Meaning you're scared just to share what you're doing or who you are. You have to prove it. Give reasons. No, you don't have to, And when you do, okay, fine, I get it. But most of the time you don't. It's hard to even have discernment to know, when we should or when we don't have to, I think more times than not, you don't have to. Not to make this into like, we become like stuck up and we're like, no, it's, who are you to ask me, and, my way is better. If you start getting lost in that area, then you start to realize, okay, I'm still afraid, because that's also compensation. It becomes like this. You don't have to do it. Do you realize what you're doing? That's the whole key. Just to realize it. It's like, okay, let me get better at that. Without that, how do you move forward with anything? Well, you don't, because you think, or what you think is like, oh, I know. Well, then that's your path until you realize that. So the whole point here, let me just give some more examples. I think the examples are good explanations of starting to realize, well, this stuff does happen, and it's okay. There's nothing wrong with realizing or even considering. Yeah, maybe I do have something to realize and to work on, and I think that's a great place to be. That's improvement in and of itself. And this is all love. There's nothing wrong with it. This is called self-love. To love yourself, to care about what you think and feel, about anything. Doesn't matter, So here's some examples. If someone's saying, hey, what'd you do today? You explain, but then you have to say, well, this is why I did it. Or you start to explain the reasons why. And remember, the context about this, you have to put this in a right frame of mind. The context about this has nothing to do with anything you should be scared about, embarrassed about, but it becomes like that. It's weird. Some people, when they have to explain themselves, it's like they're hiding something, But you're doing nothing wrong. And if you have done, or you are doing, or, you feel guilty or ashamed or embarrassed, and I could get that. That makes sense. And some people may not even pick up on the fact that, why are you explaining that? I never even asked. And maybe they don't even care to even further look into it. It could be about nothing even that big of a deal or important. But the point I'm trying to make, whether it's realized or not by ourselves or anybody, it's like there are really good reasons why we would have to explain ourselves, not wanting to look a certain way or seem like bad or not good or a problem or a terrible person or somebody awful or whatever. It makes sense. We don't want to be judged, and we don't want to, if there's a consequence of even getting in trouble, or we did something that we shouldn't have done, or we feel embarrassed that we're thinking a certain way. It's like, yeah, there could be consequences with that, but the point I'm trying to make here is most of our life situations, I'd like to say at least for the average person, you've done nothing wrong. You're doing nothing wrong. You're just living your life, right? You're just whatever. So let me just I just had to give further background to that, because I could see, yeah, there could be like reasons, real good reasons why we would feel the need to explain ourselves further, or to support or give evidence or reasons without even being asked. I could get that. But what I'm trying to say is most of life, most explanations, most circumstances, there's nothing to fear. There's no fear. There's no reason to, right? So let me give more examples of this. If you're eating something, or you're out to eat, or you're with somebody and you're eating something, and they say, do you like your food? You have to, you could say yes or no, and the reason why it tastes so good because of this. But you go into further. There's nothing wrong with really even just explaining the reason why to almost anything, because it kind of just feels right sometimes, But to further go into it, to have to explain why I think it was cooked right, or I think, it was marinated properly, and you start going into further. You see, the further you go into having to explain the reasons, I like to say, there may be something there you want to realize that you're afraid of about you. Or if somebody's like, asking you, say you're learning something, or you're practicing something, or you're trying to improve something. It could be anything. Maybe it's a musical instrument. Maybe it's something you're studying or learning. Maybe it's something you really like to do. It could be anything. It doesn't matter. It could be like you're reading a book, and someone says, so you're still doing that, or whatever. And you say, yeah, I really like it, blah, blah, blah. How much more of a conversation about your reasons why have to come just from you without them asking? You see what I'm saying? So we could be like, let's say it was getting better at like some kind of athletic skill. I have the genes to do it, meaning like I have the genetics to do it, or my dad or my family's heavily into this sport, or they're highly like into it for whatever it is, and it's like it's kind of a tradition, whatever it is. It could be about anything, right? Why are you going into more? Unless you really want to, I get it. But more times than not, it's not coming from that place. And we can't even see the difference a lot of the time. it's coming from a place of, I can't just like this. I can't just love this. I can't just be like this.